Welcome, folks. It's time for another episode of KPHRED Prime Live. I'm PHred with my partner Barbara Wainwright as we go down the rabbit hole to look at another AI-related question. Is entrepreneurship in the AI era, is success possible? And as a woman who has built her own thingy over the last 20 years to have 3 billion certified coaches in her network, Ms. Wainwright, come on down. How are we doing?
Good, Fred. It's really great to be here. I'm delighted and excited about what KPHRED's getting ready to do for authors and people that want to either become an author and get their book published and start a podcast, or people that want to already have a book and want to have a podcast to help promote their work and their book. So this is really exciting times for KPHRED, and our 2-year anniversary is coming up. Woohoo!
Wow.
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing anymore.
So, Fred,
I'm speechless. Yeah.
Speechless about that, huh? Well, I'm excited about it. You know, I think it's really great for people that are looking to share their message, whatever it is that they have inside of them that they want to share with the world, and have a platform to do that with, and also get something in writing, getting a book out there that lets them, you know, share their message with the world. I think these are really important things, especially in these times. And, you know, if we go back to the topic of AI in the entrepreneurial world, I'd say that anybody is an author is also an entrepreneur. They have to be to be able to get out there and promote their book. So as an entrepreneur, you know, having your book, your message there in writing for people to, you know, to be able to consume that if they want to. And then also having a podcast to keep delivering your message and making it fresh day after day or episode after episode. It's a great way to let people know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I got nothing much after that. I mean, you know. All right, so obviously anyone who's met me knows that, you know, I can ask a lot of questions, but getting me to write anything down is taking your life in your own hands. So obviously you ain't been working with me on this stuff.
Well,
So,
obviously.
so tell me who you've been working with. Let's bring that person in to tell us about the publishing stuff.
Well, I gotta say, I've been working with, I mean, Mary has been a big instrumental part of this effort, and without Mary, I don't know if we'd be as far along as we are. So I have to say, Mary, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for everything that you've done to make this a possibility, because it's been, I think, really key in terms of putting together the plan, the package, the opportunities for people to come forth and have their book published and start a podcast and do things that are, you know, will help them get their message out to the world. So thank you, Mary. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to be able to reach out to people in this way with podcasts and combining that with publishing a book. That is a lot of fun. I'm excited for this. This is going to be great.
All right. So we have a lot of things that we're going to talk about. I don't know but do we have a moment just to share a little bit more about the opportunities? Would Mary be able to share a little bit more about those opportunities that we have for authors?
See, I seem to be superfluous in this conversation, so we're in the rabbit hole. Even the rabbit master sometimes succumbs to the weirdness of it. Go for it, Mary. Let fly.
Woohoo! All right. Well, I love the ideas that we've got going on here, because we have kind of a little bit of something for everybody, in the sense that if you already have a book, or if you don't have a book, or if you already have a podcast, all these things are possible. So do you just want me to run through the scenarios, Barbara?
I think that'd be great. It gives people an opportunity to know what the possibilities are for them and their message.
Okay, great. Well, the first scenario is, what if you want a podcast and a book written from the show? You know, I just started my podcast at the beginning of this year, and I have had so many interesting conversations with people. A couple of people on this show right now are people who I interviewed, and I absolutely love the concept of sharing a book from the interviews that I've been compiling over the years. So it's pretty neat. Barbara, I'm sure you have interviewed a lot of interesting people too, huh?
Yeah, it's true. And, you know, I'll just go ahead and say that my book, Awakening to Divine Purpose, was created from, I guess, about 65, 66 episodes of a podcast that I did called Show Up for God and God Will Show Up for You in Miraculous Ways. So it can be done. We took all those episodes, transcribed them, put them into order in the book, and voila, there's a book. So people can come and create their podcast and get a book from their podcast. So yes, it's possible.
I just want to say, I'm PHred. I'm still alive.
Still here, kicking. Okay.
Still here.
If it weren't for Fred, none of these things would be happening. How's
That's
that?
true. That's very true. He's the foundation between our launch here.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so there's, I think, 4 more packages. Let's hit them much more briefly so we can find out about our what's coming up on Economy Creators.
Yes.
Yeah.
And B,
okay,
from our other 2 show hosts and then our guests of what's coming up with them, so we can get to the ultimate question of today's show.
All right, you want me to go really fast?
Yes.
Okay. The second scenario is you already have a podcast and you come on over to KPHRED and share it with internet radio through KPHRED and have a book written. So this is another option for people who have established podcasts, which is great. The next one is that you have a manuscript but no podcast, and what a great way to publish your book and also get the exposure you need to sell your book through a podcast. So that's another one. And then you already have a published book and you want to turn that into a podcast. So there's a difference between manuscript, pre-published, and published. And then the last one is, do you want to relaunch your book? Because so many authors have written books and crickets. So we can help you. How's that?
I love it. I think it's fantastic, and it's wonderful that Mary is here helping us to make this a reality. Yay!
Oh, thank you. It's so wonderful to work with you, Barbara, and Fred, of course.
Yes.
And this has been Publisher Chat, which PHred is only has a P that runs with Publisher. So, all right. So I'll ask the question: what's up on what should we see here in the future from Economy Creators?
Ooh, I'm excited about Economy Creators because my co-authors are moving and shaking, and they are writing their chapters in the book, and they will be highlighted and spotlighted throughout the rest of the year. Plus, of course, other incredible entrepreneurs who are creating an economy around their unique interests, talents, and experiences.
I love it. And I just got to say, you probably have 2 of your co-authors here on the show today, right?
They're actually not co-authors, but they've been on my show, and you know what? Maybe they'll be co-authors next year.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
So the question I'm going to ask you, based on what the episode so far that you've done from now to launch, what was the most surprising thing that you've heard from people over and over again?
Dang. Well, that the 9 to 5, well, this isn't surprising to me. The 9 to 5 is a trap, and that they're ready to launch out into the world with their own ideas. The biggest thing that I have found is the synchronicity between everybody is that they had something driving them from within to get out. And that's really what the case is. And they listened to it.
Interesting. All right. So that thing driving them. Sorry, I've been through this. So was it a, we'll say, external to themselves or medical thing that drove it? Or was it just you know what, I'm really annoyed with this job. Somebody got promoted over me. I'm out because of that.
I think that it was something external that brought the internal to light. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It does, yeah.
All right. Excellent. So we got two other show hosts on here, and we need to go with the queen of neurodivergency, Deanna. Come on down, woman.
This is not The Price is Right, sir.
No, it's the rabbit hole.
Hi, how is everybody today?
It's good.
So, have the tornadoes and torrential storms past you now?
Mostly, we've still got about 2 more weeks of insane weather before it gets so insufferably hot, you'll wish it was humid again.
Tropical weather. Yes, I remember that. Chicago can be like that in August.
So they tell me. But hey, look, we're used to this. Every spring, it goes absolutely bananas. I'm the generation that used to put our hands across the back of our head and our butt in the air in the hallway at school when the tornadoes came. So.
Yeah, I remember that, but it took coming to California for me to get the closest to a tornado.
I've actually been riding down the interstate and one touched down on the top of my mom's van and spun us like a top, so.
That's pretty cool. Me, it was about 100 yards away when it went past. And it's like, okay. I kind of noticed it because it got really rainy in California, and that's a weird thing. So, what's happening on Neurodivergent News Live? And if your other half's there, what's happening on Havoc's Gaming Den?
The other half is nearby, but I think he's in an anime coma at the moment. If you don't know what that means, it's Japanese cartoons, and some people really, really love them.
Fine,
so
we'll
not
bypass.
a lot has actually been. Do what?
I said we'll let him go. Then we don't want to take him out of his state.
But no, Neurodivergent News, we've actually had some moving and shaking. You were asking Mary what's a common theme that she has with guests that come over and over again. And we've actually been asking ourselves the same thing at Neurodivergent News, because one of the topics that seems to come up over and over again is faith and belief in oneself. Where is one's place in the universe, etc., etc. And so we're actually going to be branching out, because Neurodivergent News, well, that's about the neurodivergent community as a whole. And you can't really dig too deep into the faith without starting to alienate some of our community. So we're launching a spin-off show, Neurodivergent News Faith Unmasked.
Ooh.
Ooh, that sounds like a good show for a Sunday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sunday mornings, you'll be able to catch Neurodivergent News, Faith Unmasked, and Sunday evenings, you'll be able to catch us live.
Nice. I love that.
And will Jeremy be singing?
I'll be able to get him to sing live, but I'll see what I can do about getting him to record a few for you.
Excellent. That should appeal. Wouldn't you find that appealing, Barbara?
I would. I think that's great. I do. I think it's fabulous.
So, when will the show be launching?
in roughly 3 weeks. I can't believe it's kind of snuck up on me, but ADHD things do tend to sneak up on me.
Ooh, so we'll be able to have a preview on the 2-year anniversary show.
I'll see what I can do about that. I'll see what I can do.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. Let's bring our Canadian influence in. Janet, come on down. Tell us what you've been up to, and Deanna's working on the Roots and Branches new user forum in the new system. What's been up?
I have had some of the most amazing interviews lately with people who are in part of the adoption world. I'm just flabbergasted with some of the stories that we've been hearing. The one that just released on Friday was a lady who found out when she was 7 years old that she was adopted, and her adoptive father sat her down the day that their biological son came home from the hospital and told Charmaine that she was not real. Their son was real, but she was not real because she did not grow in her mom's tummy. And that just
was so
traumatic for her for so long. She just didn't feel loved. And later she endured both physical and emotional abuse from her adoptive father. So her story, this is the first time she's told it, and it was just so heartbreaking but heartwarming, because it took her 47 years to get the strength to start looking into why everything happened to her and to figure out who she is and that she is real. So that one was one that really, really got to me. I had another lady too that told me something that was very interesting. Her name was Jean Widner. She wrote a book called The Adoption Paradox that I'm in the midst of reading. I haven't got to the part yet. But me being a birth mom and giving birth to a child in 1970 that was adopted, I found out that I had 3 miscarriages and an ectopic pregnancy before I actually had another child. But that apparently has to do with my subconscious, because I gave a child away and I wasn't ready to be a mom. And the subconscious worked at stopping me from getting pregnant and going through and having that child. It's just amazing what we can learn today compared to the facts that were available back in 1970 when this was all happening. So I'm really thrilled with the people that I'm talking to and the information that I'm able to put out there that will help other people know why maybe they didn't have another child after they had their first one that was put up for adoption. And I know some of the people that I spoke to who found their birth parents, they'd never had any other children. And so it's all exciting. It's all news for me. And I haven't done a book, Mary, but I've put up 39 podcasts so far, talked to 39 very interesting people. All have stories.
You should.
Now, cut her
a wonderful book. Oh my God.
Cut her slack. We've been making sure she gets the episodes out first. I mean, hey, I could have talked to her about it at 25. You guys weren't ready, but I get to listen to the stuff, and it's like, whoa, kind of reaches into your heart, squeezes it, and says, "Are you a human being or just scum?"
Oh.
I thought you were going to say a human being or a clone. No. Okay.
So I'm excited with what's coming and the quality people that have quality things to say.
Yes.
That's going to help.
It's such an important message that you're delivering, Janet, especially for people that have been through a similar situation and feel a little bit like a unicorn, like your last guest that felt like she wasn't real. I'm sure she's not the only one out there that feels that way. And if you don't have any experience in knowing that somebody else out there that's been through that same kind of experience, you do feel like a unicorn. You feel like, oh my God, what is that all about? So it's wonderful that you're doing this show. I can only imagine how heart-wrenching it is when you hear these stories, and kudos to you for being able to handle that, because that's a lot of energy that gets put out listening.
It is, but I'm going to tell you, when you give up a child for adoption, you end up building blocks around your heart to protect yourself from getting hurt. So when I listen to the other stories, I empathize with them. But the blocks is still there, you know? They haven't totally broken off yet.
Gotcha.
And I think that's because I lost my son once, but I also lost him a second time as well.
Right, yeah. Well,
Oh, I can't wait to get the user forums up. You know, Deanna?
yeah. I just say, God bless you, Janet, for doing this work. Thank you.
And we're happy to be the platform that gets you out there.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
You rock. All right, so let's bring the host of one of our newest shows on, who has been around me, having had me stalking him for, I don't know, damn near 20 years probably. Professor Jim, come on down. Tell us about what's going to be happening on your new show, as well as everything else, but no sports. Unless it's
that's one of the new shows.
All right, if you got a new you're going to tell me about a new show on sports, I'll shut up and let you talk about it.
But the newest show is on artificial intelligence, which is good news, bad news. The bad news is that there's way too much stuff out there on artificial intelligence. The good news is almost all of it's bullshit. So there is an opportunity to do a show on artificial intelligence and try to bring the real world perspective to that. And it grew out of, I talked to Fred after this, but a week ago Monday, I helped put together a day-long symposium, the fourth annual AI symposium on business and society, with about 150 people attended. And it was not recorded, although I think we should do that in the future. But and you know, obviously the panelists that I picked, mostly mine, but some others as well, had a pretty reasoned and knowledgeable perspective on AI. So the content was pretty grounded compared to what you mostly hear in the media. But I think it's so the hard part is getting through the clutter, but the good news is that there's a real opportunity to bring some sense to the whole topic.
Okay. Well, I got a whole lot of questions, but because this one's...
Go ahead.
Nope. I'm going to let Barbara ask the next one. Go for it, Barbara.
Hasn't it been more than 20 years, Fred? But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so switching from an AI show, you're also doing investor-related companies, starting from startup, concept, idea, right through to exit, right? Are you still doing that show
Yes.
as well?
We're progressing with that one. It's called From Idea to Exit.
Idea to exit. Love
It's
it.
another topic that has a ton of stuff on it. I mean, I knew a bunch of it because I teach a bit of it, but and then did some research to see what was out there. But the different perspective for that show will be interviewing, and we've done a couple, interviewing people who have participated in various stages in that process. So it'll be from the mouths of those who lived it versus just writing it all down, which we could do, but that's not so interesting or different. So
Oh, you know, stories are so much better.
way better, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
then there is a sports show. I had lunch with a couple pretty senior sports people earlier this week, and I think there's a real opportunity. I mean, that's a really target-rich opportunity. I'm talking about college sports mostly here.
Nice, yeah.
Because chaos reigns in Division I sports for sure. And I got one of Mrs. Sports lawyer who gave me his latest law review article.
That's not an article. It looks like a book.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're a lawyer, that's what it is. It's pretty long. From Board of Regents, which is a decision, of course, intercollegiate sports amateur education model to a developing post-Alston, another decision, commercial minor league professional model, potential adverse effects without federal legislation. So that's a very
it sounds like a rabbit hole in itself.
That is without question a rabbit hole. It's so broken, you can't even imagine how broken it is. But
wow,
this is the fact that it sounds like I'm going to have to produce a sports-related show is so far down the rabbit hole. I'm kind of losing it. Mary, do you get Mary as our other resident athlete? That wasn't around when the Greeks ran at marathon. Do you want to chime in on the whole sports thing?
There's a lot of stuff going on in sports, and it has a lot to do with money. But the concept
it does
behind,
affect Mary in several ways, actually. But go ahead, Mary.
What did you say, Jim?
The major topic, not you personally, but you come up a lot now lately. Because there's a lot about minor sports and women in sports.
Yeah, and it's let's say it's come out of the Stone Age a little bit with women's sports, but it's the stories that I hear that have transpired in the last years is really kind of ridiculous. So there's a lot going on. I'm just saying.
There is, yeah, and it's a money issue because. I mean, one of Ohio State's best players gets paid $4 million.
A college student?
Yep.
I had a full scholarship, and I had just enough to pay my rent and buy some food every month.
That's good though, Mary, because the NC regulations around gymnastics. Because my son, the gymnast, married the captain of the women's team, so she was captain, so she got a full ride. So women's teams get 12 or 15, I can't recall, scholarships, which they have to give out as a full ride, which makes sense. But the men's teams get 8, and they have to split them up. Mm-hmm. So my son, who was a 4-time All-American and national champion, got like a 20% scholarship.
All right, so we're going to reel this back in, much like
it's a target, Rich. Yeah,
I get it.
Mary and I could go on and on.
I get it, and we'll be talking about this sports show, dear God. Since it sounds like you've done those next steps, we'll talk about that later. And just as I cut off the 2 publishers, we're going to cut off the 2 sports folk. Looking forward to updates on all shows. Let us move to somebody who's been a guest before and gutsy enough or silly enough, no, I'm not sure which, to come back. Michelle, come on down, say hello.
Hi, Fred. Thanks for having me and letting me come back. I appreciate that. So we just rebranded, like I said, last couple weeks ago, and we just launched our 3rd season here underneath the Nutrition Lab. We actually moved the Daily Bite to Lynn Lyon Hood's show. So
nice.
That's on Lynn Lyon Hood's Lunch with Lynn now. So she gives me an opportunity to be the Daily Bite over there. So we relaunched. We actually put out season 3 Thursday night live out on YouTube and Substack. So I'm really happy about that. That was a stretch for me because typically I just put, leave it out on YouTube. But I thought, no, and it is going out even more. We've got Spotify coming up, so I just got to release it out. I haven't done that yet, so we'll get that out there. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle Rawls. I am a holistic functional nutritionist. I'm also a nurse. diabetic education specialist, plant-based coach, and menopause coach. And one of the things that we talk about on my podcast is about how farmers are not brought to the table. Farmers need to be brought back to the table. Conversation needs to happen. For those of you who don't know, keeping it short and sweet, I healed my cancer through food, left Western medicine, did it all through food, by growing my own food, by calling all my local farmers, by calling all my local growers. And so what better way to help people than to get the podcast going? And I did that 3 years ago now, so we're in our 3rd season. And so Mary, I have not created a book yet, but I have tons of seasons that you can.
I love the word yet.
I put it on my notepad over here.
No, Mary, the phrase is, okay, when?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, when?
When are we
Yeah.
when are we talking is the optimum question.
So it's on my notepad to call Mary next week and email her, and we'll have a conversation. So I did put that on there. So we will do that. We will do that. So, but yeah, I'm excited. We had Red, Black, and Vegan podcast kick off my podcast, and so I was really happy about that. And it's been really great to hear the feedback so far. So I'm really, really happy about it.
All right. So before
Mary, you're welcome to be on the sports show too, by the way.
Of course she will be.
Thanks.
Deanna, something I missed asking you about something, and Michelle reminded me about when she said lunch with Lynn.
Yes.
Was there news of, did Lynn announce something on Thursday? Some event?
She did. I don't know if it's the same one you're thinking about, but yeah, she announced that host Tess Booker, host of Beautiful Minds, Beautiful Souls, and an amazing and executive coach named Paula Washington are collaborating to create this amazing what is it called? Achieve and Align workshop. It's supposed to be 6 classes, and it's supposed to be absolutely phenomenal.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm helping with the marketing. Doesn't mean I actually understand what they're teaching yet.
All right, so then one of the things you have to help her understand is people like me are old and have a very small memory amount. So when you send 22 pages of information about it, yeah, that really, you gotta, you know, give me 1 or 2 bullet points. Brain ain't got much for radio here.
Gotcha.
All right, Barbara. Thank you, ma'am.
So when you say small memory, Fred, is that because your memory's shrinking or you filled up a very large memory?
I haven't gotten a new USB drive yet for the current brain. And AI seems to have...
The latter is better. So that
Fred, I'm pretty sure your model is so old it doesn't have USB ports.
You're right. I actually have a floppy disk over there. 3.5 inch. And I actually found some old 8mm tapes the other day. Not sure why I'm saving them. I guess just to prove I've been around forever.
So that's something for much later, but there is a lot of really interesting stuff going on with wiring into people's brains.
Yeah,
Do all kinds of stuff.
that's a whole different show. And we have to get through.
Yes, it is a different show for sure.
And we have to.
Road, but,
I got it. We have to get back to we haven't gotten through everyone yet. So before we start discussing AI and all that fun stuff, we got to get everybody on board here. Barbara, you have one last question to Michelle. And then you get to pick our next victim. I mean, person we bring down to talk.
So, in your mind, Michelle, when are you going to be publishing that book or starting the creation process?
Well, let's see. I guess I'll have to ask Mary what that time frame looks like, because we have all the show notes. I mean, we have everything. It's all transcribed and ready to go. So
Wonderful.
whatever we need to do to kick it off, but you'll have to kind of give me that vision of what that looks like.
Okay, first things first, start getting permission to publish those episodes in writing from the people that you had as guests on your show.
Okay.
That's your first mission. Okay, so
I think we're good there because they all sign a contract that says that it's all mine anyway.
Oh, then you're good.
Yeah.
All right, Valerie, come on down. Tell us what's going on with you. Oh, you're muted, so you're gonna need to unmute before we can hear you.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm Valerie Smith, living in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Grew up as a little kid in Rawlins, Wyoming. I was a elementary teacher for 26 years, and I extended my teaching skills now to teaching the value and the joy and the peace of saving money, growing money, learning that it's cool to do that instead of just saying you live paycheck to paycheck. And I also do decentralized banking, and I am currently in the process right now of creating I will be one of Fred's radio hosts, and I'm collaborating with a beautiful gentleman named Masongo Mukwa from the Congo, and he is a business strategist, and I am waiting for him to return right now from Machu Picchu in the Andes. He's been hiking for the last week, and hopefully he's intact and fine and fit as a fiddle, so that he's well enough to come and start this radio show. And so I'm just in the foundational stages, and I'm looking forward to it very, very much. I know I will learn a lot about a lot, which is what I need to do, is learn a lot about a lot. So here we go.
Yes, that's so true. Being in interviews with people and interviewing people, it's a great way to learn. So that's wonderful that you're getting ready to do that. So we have two more guests today that I'm very excited about introducing. And I think I'd like to start with Dave Astor, because you talked about, before we got on the air live here, you talked about helping people through their exits out of their businesses. And welcome to KPHred Down the Rabbit Hole. So, Dave, you need to unmute too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And not as much hand gesture as Fred when you're introducing people, calling them down the rabbit hole. But I felt really welcomed. But I hope people, and I didn't really even start out with that as what I was planning on doing. It started with, I had a local business, grew it, and we never grew to be this huge company, but we were fairly, we were pretty good size and for the work we did. And we were seen, I had a lot of expertise in what we did. So when there were challenging situations, we were known from designers and architects and people like that to, hey, call them, they can get this fixed for you. And so building a company like that, is very different from building a company where people think about how to grow and scale a company and then franchise it and put it in different locations, because we were pretty specialized in what we did. Not that we couldn't do that, but just the thinking of, hey, the quality of what we do has got to be really good, limits the it can limit the growth in a certain way. So I say all that to say that was the type of company that I grew, and just to give you the details, it was started out as a carpet cleaning company, and we grew it to be more specialized with high-end textiles. I built an area rug cleaning plant where we handled fine area rugs and linen and silk, upholstery, headboards, things like that. And so it was some specialized work. But so anyway, when I sold it, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do, but I started working with other small business owners. And the thing I started out with is not the thing that I do now. I had developed a way of setting goals and tracking them and achieving them. which was kind of a mishmash of, listening to great people that, spoke on that, reading different books. And so I developed a system, and then I thought, man, I wish I learned this in high school. Like, this is really good stuff to know how to set goals and keep track of them and stay on top. And I thought, well, I bet my employees never learned this in high school either. I should teach it to them. And so I taught it to them, and what started out as an hour one morning became a whole day every year where we shut things down, set goals as a company, and everybody set their personal goals, to where it was the culture of the company. We had a giant whiteboard. We had a meeting every morning, and everybody, kept track of their goals, the company goals, all that. And so I thought, let me teach this to other small business owners, because not only did it help the company grow and helped us really stay cohesive with what we were trying to do, it made the employees, it made them better employees, but it improved their lives as well. They were talking about the goals they were trying to achieve, just like you'd hear people talking about what they did over the weekend. And, they were focused on some good things. And so, because when you set really good goals, you make such better decisions in life. And so I thought I was going to teach this to other small business owners, but they seemed a lot more interested in what I did to sell my company. And so I thought, all right, well, if that's what people really want to know, then let me work with that. And so I still use the goal setting system, because to get your company ready to sell, you have to set some goals and you have to achieve them. So it's still being used. It's just not what I thought I was going to be doing. Now it's as we spoke a little bit earlier, it's incredibly rewarding to help people do something as complicated as sell their company or get it ready to sell. You have to. One of the things is that for the owner, it's a big mindset shift, because a lot of them have built a company that depends on them. If they don't show up for 30 days, that company's not going to exist anymore. And so it's helping them learn to build systems so that company can run without them, because that just makes it a lot more attractive to a buyer. If you've got something that somebody can buy and they don't need, it's already running itself, it's going to produce money for them. You go from selling a company that's worth $500,000 to something that's worth $2.5 million at that point. So financially it's more valuable, but I think it helps them learn some things. It helped me learn. When I had to make that shift, it helped me learn a lot about how to communicate with people and how to get the people around me to engage as if it's their company. So anyway, that's what I do now. One of the things that I did so that people could feel like they can get to know me real easily, because hiring somebody to help you do that you built this company, and hiring somebody to help you sell it, that's a huge decision. So I started a podcast, and I work, all my guests are local business owners, and I tell their entrepreneurial journey, and it's a lot of fun for me. I really enjoy that. I wish I could get paid to do just that. Really, that's my favorite thing to do, is to sit down and talk to somebody, hear their story, and then edit it in a way that highlights all the good things that they've done, and put that out. Because I thought at one point when I was a lot younger, I played guitar, I was in bands, and I was pretty sure I was going to become a rock star, but it didn't happen. So I loved the idea of recording and putting all these ideas together musically, and then you have this 3-minute thing that is, it's great to listen to. Everybody likes it, and that's how I feel when I create an episode, because I do a lot of editing to highlight the things that they said that were really that somebody could actually miss if you weren't paying attention. So anyway, that's my favorite thing to do. Is do that. I still took that goal setting course, created a whole website around it. You can become a member, and I made it incredibly cheap to be a part of this because it's got all these tools for setting goals, understanding who you are, who you want to become, because that's what your goals need to be set on. And then getting you to learn how to set goals according to your values, to what's important to you. And that's, building that has been a lot of fun. So I'm trying to build that up and teach people how to use it and how to become a member and let it work for them. So I offer workshops on that. And anyway, I feel like you asked one question and I just talked forever. So
Totally okay.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting, that you've kind of made this transition from rock star to helping companies exit. It's a big shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It
All
really
right.
is. But
So I'm going to ask a question, then we're going to move to our last victim. A guest. As Jim would call it, the exit, or as Ray Pillar used to call it in Pillars of Franchising, the transferring the opportunity. Why do most people? What's the reason why most people want to sell?
Most people want to sell because there's a lot of different reasons. But I think, I don't know if there is a one reason, but
There's got to be one reason that pops up more than others.
yeah, I think it's just time. I think they're burned out. They hit a point where they're burned out.
Yeah. I wouldn't say retirement. They could be physical, that they're physically can't manage the business anymore. It could be their age, they're getting ready to retire. And I think also maybe spiritually even. So mental, physical, spiritual things that might be going on that want them to make a move.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right. All of those things happen. People get ill and they can't run the business anymore, or they move. There's an opportunity somewhere else that maybe their husband has, or maybe their wife has, that they want to take advantage of, or they just want to try their hand at different things. And they started out as a plumber. They grew this plumbing business, and they didn't see this as their whole life. They saw. They never thought they'd be doing this their whole life, and so that's there's a lot of different reasons, but
All right, I'll just utter a name and then we'll introduce our last person, John Henry. Aaron, come on down. Tell us all about yourself.
Thanks so much for having me. Great to be here. Yeah, so I founded Engage Coaching Group. I'm a mental wellness coach and Amazon best-selling author. And sorry, Fred, I got to talk a little bit about sports here for a second.
Oh, dear God.
A key reason why I kind of stepped into looking at this space and helping the men that I help is I had a basketball coach in high school, and he kept telling us that he'd say to us when we were warming up at practice that 80% of the game is between your ears. And he'd just walk around the center of the gym while we're in a circle at the center of the gym, warming up, stretching, and he'd repeat that phrase. And then we'd be finished stretching, and then we go off and learn our offensive plays, our defensive plays, run faster, shoot better, all the physical elements of the game. And I had no idea in the 90s what he was talking about. Did not connect the dots. And when I got into university is when the dots connected for me, and I realized this whole mental side of the game of basketball, but also the game of life. And so when I work with men that are in survival mode in a high pressure career, I'm really helping them and guiding them with working through the mental side of life and their career, and to be able to get to that place where they feel more fulfilled and have more autonomy over their life overall. And that's what I've been doing for the last decade or so.
Quick question: are you a coach? Would you call yourself a coach then? Because really, what you're doing with
I knew you lit her off. You just triggered her big time.
Yeah, well, it's I have some similar experiences teaching people how to coach and how to become a coach. That's kind of my business, is training and certifying coaches. So having done that, I have people that come to my class, and it'll be the first time that they've given themselves permission to do what's in their heart to do. They've been doing, it's they come up with, it's the white picket fence, they've got the family, they got the kids, they got the degrees, they got maybe the boat or 2 cars, whatever, and then that wasn't very rewarding. What I really wanted to do all my life was this. And because in the class they're getting coach as well as learning to coach, that's what happens. They have these aha moments and tears and, oh my God, I wish I'd done this 30 years ago, and that kind of thing. And so I'm sure you're experiencing that a lot. But for me, what you're doing is actually coaching people.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Coaching is when I started working with men, I actually was a counselor, and I did counseling for 2 years, and then I transitioned over to coaching. But it's I'm using a lot of the same training that I used to guide them, one-on-one. But I also love teaching, and so the book that I wrote has got 52 lessons in it, and I do workshops based on those lessons, and so I am drawn to doing individual coaching, but also the teaching element too. Yeah, it's to get a lot out of that and helping them.
So rewarding, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so this is going to trigger our step into the rabbit hole, but if there was a television character that would say influenced you most in coaching or the self-talk, what television personality would that be, or character would that be?
The first name came to mind was Wayne Dyer, because I watched the PBS special one Saturday afternoon and just got totally, went down the rabbit hole with Wayne and all his talking about how thoughts create things and that. So yeah.
Okay. Ooh, very good, Barbara. I'm going to ask you the same thing.
So, for me, the author that changed my life.
TV character.
Oh, gosh, you know what? I don't watch enough TV to give you one of those, Fred. Sorry.
Deanna, what would I say?
I have no idea. I'm on your brainwave, not in your brain.
You've yelled at me about the word before.
Oh, Red Foreman.
I don't even know who that is.
Red Foreman of the 70s show. Yep, I hear that one. Either that or use your head for something other than a hat rack. That was my dad's favorite one. All right. So, on that note, let us go into our topic of the day, which is entrepreneurship in the AI era. Is success possible? And for those of us who are old, we've got a well-defined time frame that I don't worry about. But I look as I spend my time trolling at times social media, especially the Facebook groups. I seem to see these folks that are, I built this wonderful AI product. It does this. I don't know how to sell it. The people that are hawking these are the 12 prompts I used on pick your platform that made me lots of money. All you have to do is follow it. And as I use many AI tools, I've come to the conclusion that in many topics, I need to go to 2 or 3 different platforms to get a really correct answer. So given that all the young folk out there, and I say this meaning anybody under 50, technically probably anybody under 60, but we'll say young folk, anybody under 50, that is now going through what I normally consider a life change, because it's usually somebody goes into business that I found, whether it's starting something or buying one because either they got laid off or there was some life altering, in my case, wife dying, that said, I'm done with being on somebody else's time frame. Life's too short to live on somebody else's clock. That's what drove me into doing my own thing. And there's been multiple businesses over the years as made money and realized it wasn't worth it. Mm-hmm. But what drove you into A, leaving corporate America, and B, when you look at it now, how's it different? How would it be different starting out now? And you're muted.
Were you talking to me, Fred?
Yes, ma'am. As my co-host.
Wow. Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure. So when I left corporate America, it was because something that Dave mentioned earlier. You know, I was working for a company in software. I was writing code and designing systems, and the people that were my boss didn't have as much capability in terms of logic and vision that I did. So I ended up leaving and became a consultant and started consulting, and I did that for many years, and I loved it because I was my own boss. I wasn't under anybody. Like whenever I wanted to either take time off or, you know, leave that company and go work for another, it was great being an independent consultant doing what I loved, which was writing code. So today, in today's world, you know, there was a time, let's see, I think it was in the 2000s, early 2000s, is when a lot of the technical jobs went overseas to India. Thank you to our then president. And so when that happened, it was, I could see there was like, I saw the writing on the wall, man, it's time to transition into something else, which I did, but a lot of people didn't. But today, going into, from a technical perspective, going into a entrepreneurial role, I think it's easier today than ever before, mainly because of the internet. You know, when I decided to make that transition, yes, the internet was there, and it made us able to, oh man, I think about the software that was back in the early 2000s, the software and the opportunities there. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so much more opportunity now than there was then, and because of the internet and the capability to reach more people than ever before, the internet has connected the world. So I think that's a huge difference.
Yeah, but so I won't argue about that. The internet has. I remember the olden days, and yet now there's billions of more people competing. And since corporate America seems to be shedding more and more people because of AI tools, how do you go into...
Necessarily true, Fred. We can talk about that.
Meta just did another, I don't know, multiple thousand layoff. There's a Bay Area firm that's an AI firm that just chopped a bunch of people. So, and the theory is that they need to put more money into either the infrastructure or, you know, AI can do all these wonderful tools.
So, Fred, I don't know if... Okay, so I just heard yesterday that Microsoft found out that it was more expensive to have AI running things than it was to have employees. I also read that Uber also discovered that. Also, Starbucks discovered that. So there's a lot of companies that are deciding that AI maybe wasn't the godsend that they thought it was, and are turning back to having more employees do the things that they were doing before, because it's, I don't know, there was issues.
Okay,
I think
so
you're right, Barbara. If you dig into what those headcount changes, let's call it,
Okay.
it's for a variety of reasons, almost none of which are people are being replaced by AI. A lot of those companies just overhired when you dig into it, but you know,
I won't argue that, but you're
I think
talking.
some of it's exactly what you said, Barbara.
I won't argue that either. What I'm saying here is now you're dumping these tools, and we know how I feel about AI and dynamite, but you're dumping these tools. So the number I heard a long, long time ago was 92% of all small businesses fail within the first 5 years.
9 out of 10, that is correct.
So, all right. So now you got a whole bunch more people going into business with much, much more powerful tools. And yet they still got no clue that, from what I can tell based on interviews I've done, the number one trait you need to be successful is, you can call it tenacity, you can call it persistence, you can call it grim, stubborn determination. But yet, that's not where everybody goes. So is the foundation out there, the human foundation out there, or will people succumb to the AI electric dreams? That's why I wonder about success, is because we're selling a whole lot of electric dreams out there where folks are building stuff that they got no clue if people will buy. And that's where I head with this topic. Ha, take that. Go ahead.
Well, you hit the two key points that you and I have talked about, that entrepreneurs need to be successful. They need two things: persistence and customers. And the customer part is the one, I may have told the story, but when I first got involved in AI, which was over 40 years ago, I was running a spin-off from MIT. Really smart guys could build anything. And they could build real AI, actually, back then. But the whole notion of having a customer that would actually pay for it was a mystery to them. So they were about to go bankrupt, and the world wasn't quite ready for the stuff they were building. So we found a pretty sophisticated application they could build. It was not AI, and the company did very well. But
so nowadays, I'm going to go to the woman who built the world's largest rocking chair.
Rocking horse.
Rocking horse. Sorry, I got half of it right.
You got it right. It's a horse.
So, as somebody who built a huge business and then got out of it, and when you look at the young folk today, and this isn't a criticism on young folk, it's the fact that it's a different time span. But if you were starting out today to build ultimately the world's largest rocking horse, but the business behind it, how's it different from back then?
Well, back in 1978, my husband and I started a custom furniture manufacturing and retail business. We started in the basement of our house. We had $200. We had a jointer, a lathe, and a radial arm saw, and some hand tools. And my husband said he could build furniture, and I said, nobody builds furniture. People go to a store and buy it. And he said, no, I can build it. So we went to a flea market. He made some things. We went to a flea market. We sold one item for $15, and we paid $20 in rent. And I wondered how we were going to eat. But the next week we found a different flea market, and for the Saturday we sold $150. So we had enough money to pay the rent for the Sunday flea market, which was twice as good as what it had been the week before. And we grew that business by flea markets. It took us over a year before we got a small store and got it out of the basement of the house and into a building, because we didn't own a vacuum cleaner, so we had a lot of dust. But we had a lot of fun. We were determined. I'm in Barrie, Ontario, and it's cold in the winter. And we did flea markets outside in the winter, and we had a cooler with us with vodka and tomato juice so that we could keep warm. That was the only... But I have such good memories of what we did and how we grew. we grew to a point where we were able to buy some land and we could build a building, and we ended up with about 65 employees at peak. And we had a union come in, and they were there for a year. We got them out. We built the world's largest rocking horse through the recession, 2008, 2009. So all in all, we were in business for 46 years. And even though we closed, and Dave, if I had known you before, maybe you could have helped us close better than what we did, because I say we died a COVID death. And the reason that is because people's buying habits changed. COVID brought around the fact that they could die tomorrow, so they didn't need to buy solid wood furniture that was going to last them a lifetime, because their lifetime could end at any moment. And I still have a house full of furniture that I love, and it's not going anywhere. It'll be around long after I'm gone. Today, it's not the same. We went to school. When we went to school, we went from 9 till 4. We were taught that you got 2 recesses, you got lunch break. That was just like going to work, working 9 to 5, having 2 coffee breaks and a lunch break, right? And you expect that. But the way people are at school now, they can go at any time of the day in different types of classes, so they're not taught consistency. And I think that's hard. And they're not taught to be creative in school anymore, to find something that they like to do and that they want to do, and they can carry them through the future. Everybody's always on their phone or doing something like that. So I think it's very difficult for people today. I listen to people, I meet them on networking groups, and I listen to them. They've started a business, but they don't have a track to run on, and they don't know where to go to get customers and how to build something. No, I was lucky. We had flea markets we could take our product to. But if you're building a product, you got to get it out there somehow. And just putting it on the internet is not always the right way to do it. People don't see it. You got to take it. People need to see it. They need to feel it. They need to taste it, Michelle, right? Yeah, because that's how you're successful, because you've got the product that people want and want to taste. So
I mean, I agree with you, but you do have people out here using AI today in this world, creating programs and just selling the program and saying, "Oh, here you go, work that." Nothing behind it.
But does the program work? Okay, so CRM, for example, I looked at probably 10 CRMs, and each one did something different. Which one was best for me? I went with one that was called Less Annoying because I liked the name. And it was very, very simple.
I get it. I mean, that's exactly the problem. That's the problem today, is that you have all these capabilities, and somebody comes up and says that they've written a program that says, lose weight in 30 days, lose 15 pounds in 30 days, here's how you do it, and it was all AI generated, and it has no backing behind it, nobody to help them work it. And people are going for that. They're utilizing that.
I know. I probably got some pills here that were for that purpose, but they didn't work.
Barbara, you want to jump in with the female point of view here? Co-host point of view, sorry.
Yeah, okay. I think with people generating content with AI and then turning around and trying to sell it, maybe people are going for it, Michelle. I don't know. And I think that I think it's almost a little bit of a fantasy.
Let me give you an example. There's a lady in Canada doing it, and she's making over 6 figures doing it out of Canva. And I approached her on it because it was so upsetting to know that she's not able to back up what she's doing with any kind of professionalism whatsoever in the field.
So I remember talking to a mentor of mine long time ago. One of the scariest dudes I've ever met. And he was telling me how people had made large amounts of money on how to win the lotto. People had made millions on these. This was 15, 20 years ago. Millions on these. And you know what the first thing on there was that you had to do?
Buy a ticket.
Ding, 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 ding.
Buy a lottery ticket?
Yeah.
If you're going to win the lottery, that was the number one thing. And yet all these suckers went out and bought it. Deanna, you started your business within the last under 10 years.
Yes, sir.
How's it different now if you were going to go off and start it?
Oh my Lord, you opened Pandora's box, because I actually opened my business about 8 months before the AI craze started, and I opened a marketing business. So I spent a year learning how to do 1,000,001 things that AI obsoleted within a year of me opening my business. It was a nightmare.
Here's the thing about that, Deanna. If you had not learned all the things that you did over the year, and then you get to AI, do you really know the right prompts to have as good impact and effect as you do because you spent that year studying marketing?
Here, I can actually give you a perfect example of this that actually happened this last week. So I have this client. She's absolutely amazing, and I love her. But she has hooked up with a new executive coach in the last few weeks. And this lady was telling her about how she didn't have to wait for me to build her website, that she could prompt Claude to do it for her, and then copy and paste it into the raw HTML section of the website. And I went, okay, let's do it. Come on, I want to sit with you and watch you do this. And I know I sound flippant when I say this, but within 5 minutes, she had no idea why it wouldn't work, and that Claude could not explain it to her in language that she could understand. As soon as she realized it and asked me for help, I was able to immediately tell her what to do, right down to the line of code she needed to change. So AI may give ability, but it does not give aptitude.
Well, that's exactly my point in saying that if you hadn't had that year learning about marketing,
exactly,
then you wouldn't have been able to give it the proper prompts to get the right answers. And, I think about this, artists, right? Artists, photographers with AI coming in and being able to do things that artists might have spent an hour in Photoshop, and AI can fix a photo in minutes, right? Or less. If they don't know the right prompts, though, if they don't know the industry of photography, and like in an artist, same thing. If an artist if you aren't an artist and you try and create a masterpiece out of AI by giving it prompts, you're going to get something that's completely different than you probably thought you were going to get, because in your mind's eye you're imagining this thing, but the prompts aren't proper enough to get AI to actually fulfill what your mind is thinking.
Exactly.
And that's where I come at the whole, is success possible? Because we're all talking about all this backup knowledge we have to let us have critical thinking skills so that we can tell when something's screwed up and or when to disbelieve. Where I look at it is, there are people going out there and they're creating things that they think have value because they believe that it's all the AI tools. And if everybody's using the same tools, then how's their creativity? And literally, besides whole stubborn determination, if you don't have creativity, then you become a lawyer or, dear God, accountant.
Let me put it to you this way. AI as a tool versus AI as an employee. As the CEO of your company, would you let the guy that works the 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. shift create your entire marketing campaign and tell you how to implement it? No, you would not. AI is a tool. It's not even the equivalent of a low-level employee.
I'm not arguing that. I've heard the same crap before of, we can just have AI build this website. Go for it, please.
It means that at the end of the day, as long as you recognize AI for what it is and keep the human element in your business, success is absolutely still possible.
But you have to have been through the grit, the grind, whatever, whatever you want to call it, that pit that you figure out you have to climb out of.
AI will put you in the pit if you're not careful.
And it will leave it will leave you in the pit unless you understand sometimes, hey, it ain't got a clue what it's talking about. But again, now we're back into that, as we hit many, many times, critical thinking skills. And my whole point of this coming at it is when I see Gen Z, and I worry about Gen A, who parents are sticking devices in their hands. My granddaughter's pissed off she ain't got a cell phone. She's 8. She'll be 9 this year.
My daughter just got a cell phone. She just turned 15.
I get that. Dave, jump in.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know whether I was, if I could just jump on in or not. The biggest thing for me is that I see with AI and other companies, it offers no competitive advantage whatsoever because everybody has it. It's available to everybody. So
you have to prompt it to that.
You have to prompt it to that, yeah. But, you can tell when somebody's, I feel like most of us can now tell, even just a few years into it, when something's been written through AI. We recognize the language, we recognize the canter, and I don't feel like it, at that point, it makes you pause and go, oh, this person used AI to write this because they don't have the skill or they don't have what it takes to write something like this. And so, I feel like it has that that can work against us, as an entrepreneur, if we're not careful. And I really feel like just what really drives a business, AI will never be what drives a business. It's people. It's the owner. It's the owner's vision and being able to lead people. Skills like leadership still, AI can't replace that. So I feel like there's human skills that drive businesses that make people successful. You can make a lot of money with AI, but I don't think that's the same as having a successful business.
So, question for you, Dave. Where did you grow up once you learned to drive?
Where did I grow?
When you learned to drive, what city, state were you in?
I was I grew up in New Jersey and learned to drive in Jersey and New York.
All right, so you're 16, 17, you got your dad's car out. It's snowing. You end up in a ditch. What do you do?
Back then?
Back then.
I guess I usually probably had a couple buddies in the car. We tried to get the car out of the ditch, and you learn how to rock that thing out of the ditch.
And this, my theory says, this is where critical thinking skills are born, because you don't got a cell phone to call somebody for help. You figure it out then and there, and that's how critical thinking skills are born. And that's where I hear you saying is after a while, we recognize it because we learn how AI's outputting it. My question is that if you haven't read a whole lot of old books, pre-AI age written books, if all you're doing is consuming the, whether it be the AI-generated videos on YouTube, the AI-generated music on a bunch of places, or pure AI. I still remember the first one of the AI Summits the guy said, "Oh, I just wrote a book, 15 pages on unicorns." And I thought, who gives a crap? And so that's where I come at this, is the younger generations, my grandkids are going to be, and my daughter told me, "Dad, can't watch, they only so much time on the screen. It's like crack to them." But there are a whole lot of parents out there like that, that aren't out there like that. So I I wonder if they're going to have these critical thinking skills to be able to discern what's good and what's crap.
They're not going to have those critical thinking skills if parents do not pull devices away and cut it out, because they're going to be so ingrained. Those are dopamine hits over and over and over. And the more they're ingrained to see that, I'll give you a perfect example. My grandson doesn't really care to read. My oldest one, who's 8, will be 9 in a couple of months, does not like to read. So we are having homeschooling all summer long. They can't have their devices all summer until they get their reading at the level.
Boy,
because you know what he said? Why would I read a book when I can just read it on my phone? Oh, that's when you lost your phone. And that's exactly what happened.
That made you the favorite grandparent.
I know, I'm just so loved. But the bottom line is that we are the ones who are going to have to step in and guide our children. I mean, I'm like you guys, I'm in my mid-50s. So, you know, bottom line is that we have to pull them. We have to be the ones right now. And many of these parents out here, I watch regularly. I mean, I have a whole community of parents I watch, and they're just sticking those phones in their hands. No big deal.
All right, so I'm going to jump to our ex-teacher. Valerie, chime in.
Thank you. So what I was thinking is, in defense of public education, I will say that I have not been in a classroom since 2007 when I resigned. There was some technology, there was not AI. My point is, there must still be some good things in public education that are non-AI, that are critical thinking, and that are inducing creativity in children, or those schools would all be out of business. So I would love, right?
When you
fly on the wall. I'm sorry?
I would just say social skills are one thing. You know, I mean, if you're homeschooled, you're not getting social skills. So that's, I mean, if you want to, you know, just take education aside, they're learning how to be with other people. Right. They're learning how to interact. And hopefully they're learning some emotional intelligence as well. I know for my grandson, there's definitely emotional intelligence that is being taught at kindergarten level there. So, you know, and now when we go to education, he's already reading, which is great, you know, so he's above his level of reading, which is amazing. But so the education is good too. But, you know, if you say, well, you know, what are they going to learn in school? Well, first of all, they're going to learn how to be in a room with other people, raise your hand when you want to be heard, you know, sit down whenever it's time to sit down. All those things are so important in life in general, you know, so I think those are some key points that are.
So I agree with you on that, but watching a kindergartner this year walk out of, I'm in the top school district of St. Louis. I'm in the #1 school district of St. Louis. And I watched my kindergartner this year walk out, not able to read, barely able to write A, B, C's, and D's, hardly able to write 1 through 10, and I am sickened by it because parents sat on the side.
Something's really wrong with that.
It's the school. That's the school's responsibility.
Deanna, you want to chime in on social skills?
Is social education in adversity? Because in my community, in the neurodivergent community, the overwhelming majority of our children that are in the public education system are experiencing daily traumas and daily abuse. So is the social education in adversity really worth the social engineering and the trauma? No. But that's my community.
Every community is different.
That's true.
And every community is unique unto itself. And every teacher's delivery system is unique and different unto themselves. And so I think we need to be very careful to not overgeneralize what's going on in education.
I agree. Because
I agree with that.
a large chunk of teachers, when they start the profession, their heart is in it. They're obviously not there to make money. But the burnout and the requirements from the community that they serve, it leads to a systemic issue where the overwhelming majority of teachers are burnt out within the first 10 years of their teaching career, and if they stay in the career, they care less and less. The majority, not all. There are some great teachers out there, but most of them end up pulled away into the private sector where they can make money and be protected.
I have a suspicion that in 2007, when I resigned, I was part of that overgeneralizing rhetoric that the public was talking about teachers. And I was teaching my heart out, and I was very creative, and I played the piano, and we wrote stories. We did what I believed was right, and I am reasonably certain that I was pulled into the whole generalization of teachers not doing their jobs.
I would agree with that, because we had a teacher last year that was phenomenal. Loved her. She dove in. She did everything. I mean, I could just hold her and love her and just say thank you. And I tell her thank you every time I see her, because she was fabulous. Fabulous. And then this year's teachers were younger. My oldest grandson's teacher let us know in the very beginning she was a high-functioning ADHD, and so her classroom would be constructed very differently. She was very upfront about that. We just didn't know how differently it was going to be. It was too much over here, over there, not constructed. So social skills, yeah, I think that they've got great social skills. They're very social butterflies, not afraid of too much. And that is because of school. Because school did give them that capability, for sure. Critical thinking, I think, needs to be a little more, put into place. Yeah, I think that they should work that. I like Fred's analogy. If you're in a snowstorm, what do you do? And I think in many situations we should start with the kids at a very young age in that direction.
And see, I've got 6. 2 are finished with the public school system. 2 went partially through it and were homeschooled, and 2 have been nothing but homeschooled. And for my homeschooled babies, I can say that they don't lack social skills because we engaged with them. We provided other people for them to interact with. What they actually lack is social restraint, because they have not been given the same boundaries that other people have been given through the socials or through the public school system. And so maybe sometimes they take the interaction too far, but they're not doing it out of malice.
Yeah, we're actually doing homeschooling this summer just to see if we can do it and make it work.
Okay.
Good luck, ma'am.
Mary, you got anything to say?
I always have something to say, Fred. Well, to add to the homeschooling thing, I've homeschooled my daughter. She's 15 since she was 3 when she started, and she just wanted to read and do things, and so we started. And socialization, we had a gym, and so she was able to interact with so many kids. But to your point about success in business, what is success in business? I guess what's the definition of success, in the sense that there are so many, when we started our gym, we needed someone who knew what she was talking about to teach all these kids. That's where I came in, and AI couldn't have done that for me. They wouldn't have been able to teach a forward roll or a round off or a back handspring or a back tuck or anything else along those lines. The experience that I provided to all of these kids in my career and brought that down to their level, I couldn't be a successful gymnastics coach or gym owner if that were the case, right? But there are some entrepreneurs who are serial entrepreneurs in the sense that they just want to sell something, get a quick buck, and then move on to the next one. So that's success to them. So maybe to Michelle's point about the woman in Canada who is doing whatever it is she's doing, maybe she's going to get a bunch of money here and then ditch it and then move on to the next thing. And I guess the definition of success is important.
I agree with that.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Well, okay. I think probably the woman in Canada might have jumped in before that industry of selling information got saturated. Okay. I think, anytime you're on top, for instance, my coaching company, I was one of the first companies out there training and certifying coaches. And so, therefore, since I was one of the first ones, I had a ton of people come in. And I was marketing on Google at a time when Google charged only $1 for a click. That's unheard of right now. So because I jumped in and I'll call it early adopter to it, it made a difference in my ability to do, really good in that industry. And I think that's true with anything that comes out. If you're an early adopter and you get out there and you do the marketing properly, obviously the person that was generating AI content, she obviously had the marketing skills as well, because that's what you have to have in order to be successful, is you have to have the marketing skills. Like Jim was saying, you have to have customers to keep your company going. Well, you can't do that unless you have the marketing skills or the network that you can use to build your company and get those customers. So, I don't know that if I went out to AI today and I put together a bunch of information, that's great. It's going to sit on my hard drive unless I have the technical capability to create the avenue, I'll call it a sales funnel and an avenue, and then drive traffic to that. It's a ton of work. Go ahead, Fred.
So, see, and that's where I keep coming at this, is that I see the young folk, from what I can tell, I would say Gen Z, based on profile pic age, which I know is sometimes dicey because there's some women's profile pics that look like they're in their 20s and they're in their 60s. But we won't go there. Different topic. But I see them, and I remember when you used to be able to buy software in the local grocery store, and it came on 5 1/4 inch floppy disk drives. So I've seen a whole lot of software or digital crap sold in way too long. And it's not the people that are, quote, selling it who have no clue, but it's all the people, especially for the AI generated, I made $1 million on by just these 7 prompts. What scares me is all the people saying that they want the info. It's that gullibility quotient that is there, because now it all looks in a pretty package, because AI is pretty good about cleaning stuff up. Go ahead, Mary.
Well, they were gullible before too.
But it was a much slower thing.
True.
Yeah, I could see that.
Fred, one of the oldest adages in the world is a fool and his money are easily parted.
And I get that. And that's why I say, is success possible? Because there's so much out there that is fooling people that they're never going to get to Dave to sell their business. Dave, you started your business, right? And so think about it. What did you need in order to sell it? Not to sell it, but when you started it, to find those clients and things like that. What was your experience going in and finding those people initially to buy from you?
Oh, it was much different. Mostly used direct mail, and a yellow page ad. That was the Google of the day back then, But there was those two things. You could put you could try ads in other places, to see what works. The newspaper might work for some businesses. The flyer that comes on a pizza box might work for somebody else. Radio ads. It's different. Mediums work better for different types of businesses. But for mine, direct mail that worked, and you could have coupon packs. And that were made it very affordable. To do bulk mail, and that was. And then you lettered up your vehicle, and that was another way that you got business.
All right. So now I'm gonna take you to the people you help now, because you help people get their businesses ready for sale.
Yeah.
On that sell side thing of what they're missing, what is it that they're missing most likely in order to get ready to sell?
Okay, so in order to get ready to sell, well, actually, before I answer that, I do have a quick comment on what you said before about gullibility.
Mm-hmm.
Before the gullibility, you would have to go through a lot more to purchase that. Now you're one click away from going, oh, that looks good, I need that, and so it's a lot easier to take advantage of people. But anyway, that was my quick comment.
No, you're right.
The biggest thing really is getting a business away from being dependent on the owner. That's the biggest challenge, to get a business ready. It has to, there's other things like finances, but one of the things as we were talking that you asked earlier, the thought of saying, boy, things have changed, and I need to get up on technology, and I need to get up on how to advertise on social media and how to do all that, and how to let AI. That does drive a lot of boomers to go, you know what, I ain't doing that. That can be part of their incentive to say, you know what, I think it's time to sell the company, because that's a big undertaking.
Well, believe me, totally understand that. Janet, you want to chime in, and then we're going to let Jim, who's chomping at the bit about selling companies, to say something.
Okay, so I consider myself a success because my original business lasted for 46 years. It was my husband and I who started a partnership, and we kept it going because we did whatever we had to do in order to keep it going. And because we were stubborn and we had a don't quit attitude. I consider my podcast a success because I have 39 podcasts out there, and I'm told if you get 10, you're good. Over 10, when you hit 25, you're even better. So I said I'm doing it. I've got a year that I'm going for it, and as long as I keep going and find somebody new every week who wants to tell a story, I'm a success. But I don't know how to market it properly. But I'm learning, So this one where the lady said that she wasn't real, for example, I take my podcast from YouTube and throw it into Minvo, and it gives me shorts. So I always thought, if I had 14 shorts that said green, that was a good one. Well, 2 weeks ago I had one that was 23, and I thought, oh, great, that means a better quality podcast, right? This one where she's real, came up with 43 clips that I could post from her. So that means it's even better. So now I have to figure out how to get it out further so that I can end up with my 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we need to talk soon. Jim, go ahead. The man I know helped people sell large companies. Turned them around.
Small ones and medium-sized ones. Well, I'll touch on that first. The motivation in each of those cases was kind of different. One of the smallest ones was the most recent, but the investor really kind of drove that. He wanted to he'd been putting money in forever and wanted to get his money out. The other one was a huge spin-off from a not-for-profit into a for-profit. And because it was better structured for the business, it was whether you call that an exit or not, I don't know, but the business would do much better as a for-profit, as it turned out. That part of the not-for-profit. The not-for-profit still exists. There are, there's family-owned businesses that sort of run out of family to pass it on. There's a million reasons that people end up exiting. You talk about high tech, where I spent most of my life, everybody's a unicorn or not, as the case may be. But there's the exit landscape is pretty heterogeneous, actually. I'm not sure that it's actually changed over time. I don't know. Do you think, Dave?
I haven't really been doing it long enough to say it's, to know whether it's changed over time. So, but I don't, my limited experience in it tells me that you're right. It hasn't changed much.
Yeah, I don't think it has. I mean, the forms of exit may have changed a little bit, but not a lot. So 2 other comments is I do think one of the risks for society generally, and it's not just AI, but other things, and you guys have touched on a lot of them, is I think the newer generations really have a risk of losing critical thinking skills. We need to do something about that for sure. And how they used to get them from a variety of sources, but I think they rely, if you rely way too much on technology to do your thinking for you, I think it's going to be a huge issue going forward. I do think that's a real risk of AI in part, but also other technology too. I mean, just searching Google or whatever search engine you use. People use AI to do search now almost as much. But anyway, I think that I think the loss of critical thinking in the kids is a bigger deal. And the last thing I'll touch on is education, which is, and you guys know far more about pre-K through 12 than I do, so, and you've touched on it for sure. But, why are you laughing, Fred?
Yeah, never mind, go ahead.
So I'll touch on higher ed, which is where I live now, but is all you see in the popular press is that going to college is useless. It's way too expensive. You get out with a ton of debt. You can't get a job. Well, the answer is yes and no. So that people talk about the alternative being trade schools, which is true. I think that's good for a lot of people. I don't think that should be discounted as a possible career path. But I almost never hear it mentioned that, where's the engineer that's going to come out and design the next airplane coming from? Or the engineer that's going to figure out how to use quantum computing? Or the physician that is going to do some of the stuff that Michelle talked about. There's a lot of things that higher ed does that is super valuable, and it never gets talked about. It just absolutely never gets talked about. I don't want a surgeon who went to trade school, but
I also don't want a surgeon who learned most of their stuff on ChatGPT.
Flying an airplane, it was...
Amen. Yeah. I mean, I learned how to fly an F-16 and an F-18 in my early days of computerhood. Most people don't want me in the... or an F-14 Tomcat, yeah. Most people don't want me in the cockpit of an F-14 with... the long-range missiles. So
at least we don't want to be in it with you.
Exactly. So I get all this stuff, and I'm not going to rag on teachers. I raised, my daughter was just named Teacher of the Year.
Wow, congrats.
Very, very proud. And yet I also know that when my grandkids were whining about not having being able to watch TV while in the van with her, she said, and they were bored on a long trip, she said, you should feel good. When I was in a long trip with my dad, I had to learn how to do add fractions. And it wasn't on paper or a screen or pen. I had to learn how to do it air fractions.
I thought you were going to say solve fractals.
No, that much. She was young, but I taught her. That's how I taught her how to add and subtract fractions. Was driving with the air board. So I
was kind of stunned. My granddaughter, one of them, who was not yet 4, and they bought 10 donut holes at Dunkin' Donuts, and my wife gave 2 to my granddaughter, and then asked her how many are left. She said 8. She didn't even bat an eyelash. She's like, not yet 4 years old. And said, well, what if I take 3 more? How many? She said 5.
So donuts, money, candy, things like that, kids learn about.
Yeah, but that's not. Donuts is purely the tool. It's not the.
No, I get that, and my grandkids have been paid for tasks that they have to do, and that way they have to buy stuff they want. And man, it gets really, really, really interesting when they want something. You say, okay, how much are you willing to pay for that? And that's critical thinking skills.
It's also economics.
I'm glad to know I'm not the only one who does that.
It's also economics.
I feel like I'm the only one.
Which most politicians don't have a clue about, but that's another story.
And we're not going to go down that rabbit hole because
it's a big rabbit hole.
That's just normalcy, and we ain't going there. All right.
Anyway, I could dig the rabbit hole deeper, but I won't.
So we're running out of time, so I'm going to get everyone. Barbara, what's your advice to the would-be entrepreneur who's just trolling Facebook on trying to pick up clients?
Trolling Facebook, trying to get clients? Oh my God, good luck.
What would you tell them instead of doing that?
Oh my gosh, I guess it totally depends on what kind of a clientele they're looking for. However, I think going back to some of the old ways of doing business and finding clients would probably benefit them. And by that, I mean, I think it was Dave that mentioned doing direct mail. Not many people are doing direct mail, but direct mail, believe it or not, is cheaper than doing a Google ad for a click. And it's going to land in somebody's mailbox. Yeah, maybe they'll toss it, but maybe they'll look at it. It's better than if you pay. Okay, let me just go back and share this.
Oh boy, riled her up on this one.
Yeah, sorry. When I was advertising on Google, it was 100 clicks before we get a sale. Okay, so 100 clicks for a sale. So if you send out 100 postcards or letters, and a 4-page letter is already, we know those sell, right? From the old days, they sell. So if you go back to some of the old school methods of marketing, that's what I would recommend, rather than going in and because you can spend a small fortune on Facebook ads or Google ads or any other platform that's selling ads. And
except for KPHRED ads.
If you go to some of the older methods, you're going to have a much better response, I believe, like direct mail marketing or going to networking groups or getting out and actually, just getting out and letting people know. He mentioned putting your phone number and information on your vehicle everywhere you drive. You're a billboard driving around. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get out and do marketing, and that's what I would recommend. Stay away from the tech.
You said basically old school, like radio?
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting. Well, I had to get one in there. You were crushing it at the beginning. So All right, Jim, what's your advice to the would-be new entrepreneur eschewing college and saying, I'm going to go out and make the world my oyster, assuming they like oysters?
Well, it depends on what their business is, but they don't need to go to college to do that. But the first thing is start talking to customers, potential customers. If you don't, you'll learn more from them than you'll ever need to know starting out. You need to know enough to figure out who the potential customers are, but then you got to talk to the customers. Without that, you're going nowhere. So I think that's the number one thing for everybody when they start a business. Funny,
I told somebody, go give your software away to 10 potential clients and get reviews from them, and they'll help you find those next 10, and that'll sell. Guess I wasn't too far off. Deanna?
That's exactly what we talked about just now, yeah.
Yes.
What are you going to tell somebody who's gone through what you've gone through, or is looking at starting that business, besides come to you for marketing?
Don't be offended by the no's, because you're going to get far more of those than you're ever going to get yeses. You're going to learn something from each and every no that you get, including the fact that not every customer is the right customer for you.
I think that's great.
Oh, that is wonderful, ma'am. Wonderful. Mary, what do you got for somebody who's starting out that first business? You run into to a networking event and they've just given that first intro and mauled it and everyone's asleep. What are you going to tell them?
I'm going to tell them to develop relationships, just like what everybody else is saying. Go out and talk to people, get comfortable with and clear on your message and who your target audience is, and then create a framework and write a book around it and share it with the world.
Ooh, nicely weaved in there. That, folks, is the way you do it. Janet, your advice.
You have to, I can talk more about people that have actual product and take their product to the people. I think that's important. Find your people that know, even if you go to some kind of a church event or a home show that might be in your area, find somewhere where you can take your product to the people so that they can see it and know that you have it.
Yep.
But one of the things that I've learned through business was that you'll have people that don't like your product and have a complaint because they want something from you for nothing. And we always found that the best way to handle them was to have 3 options for them and to give them 3 choices, whether you can give them a refund, whether you're going to take it back and fix it, or whether you'll leave it with them and then you'll make them a new piece and replace it or something, so that they have 3 options and it's always their choice instead of you telling them what to do. Let the customer make the choice to decide what they want to do.
Ooh, nice. Very, very nice.
Net of all of it is the famous sports quote: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take."
Wayne Gretzky.
Yep. Way to go, Barb.
Yeah, it's bad. Don't help him with the sports stuff. Not till we get the show. When we get the sports show, you're going to have to help produce it and write the book.
I love it.
Michelle, bring it on down. Your advice.
I just want to, basically reiterate what everybody has said. I mean, Barbara's right. My vehicle's wrapped in my logo, and everything I do explains it, tells it, has a story to it. I use a local guy who goes around and puts my logo on his boxes, puts candy in it, and he walks throughout my neighborhood and he gives candy out, and I've got a little note in there explaining why not to eat it. I mean, You got to be creative. You need to be creative. You need to use your own passions and creativeness to get out there, be seen, be heard. And I can tell you one thing. Here's a piece of advice. You will not create a business from behind your desk. So get up, get out.
I like that.
Build relationships.
Okay. Been an interesting episode. Interesting. Much to grind on. I like all the stuff, folks.
Actually, yes.
I like all the stuff that I heard, but basically, grim, stubborn determination. That's a good thing. Find the clients. Interesting. The one thing I would add in on all of this stuff, besides have a radio show, is it always helps if you're. I come at this. I read a lot of military history as a young child, and which is why Sun Tzu is one of my favorites. But when I look at it, it always helps to have an army behind you to win. So if you can build a team, doesn't have to be of those that all work for you, but a team of those who work with you. My theory is you go farther, because sometimes you don't want to go and they just kind of push you along because it's like, no, you're our battering ram.
That's right. That's right. It's good to have a team. It's really important to have people in your life that are encouraging you, motivating you, keeping you. Because you're right. It takes a lot of grit and determination and tenacity to actually have the breakthroughs that you need. And you have to be, like Deanna was talking about, you have to be able to hear the no's. You know, if you think about it, I got out of 100 clicks, I got one sale. That's like 99 no's to one yes. So you need to be ready to handle that. You have to have the what do you call it, chutzpah, to handle that. You know, you got to be able to keep trucking. So I think it's kind of important too to have a strong belief in what it is that you're doing, so that you don't give up. You know, don't give up.
Oh, dear God, you didn't just quote "never give up, never surrender," did you? Man, Jim's hitting Agent Smith earlier with, it became our world when we started doing your thinking. Go ahead, Janet. Last word.
My dad gave me a poem back in 1974 when I had an accident. I went through a windshield of a boat. And he gave me a poem, and He said, when things go wrong, when they sometimes will, and the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, when you want to smile but you have to sigh, rest if you must, but don't you quit. And I've lived by that since then.
Beautiful.
I too stupid to quit. Been described that as before. I love it. So, reminder, folks, our next episode is going to be June 13th. You'll be able to dial in, call in, and interact by using the click to call button on the front of the site. And it will be, amazingly enough, our 2-year anniversary to the day when I screwed up originally and took us live 3 days ahead of time. So, we're going to hit it 2 years, June 13th, 2026. We fought through people trying to take us down, and we're still here.
Exactly. I love that. We're still here.
Bigger and better.
Too stupid to quit. We'll be back again, folks, in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Great.